All right, hey VC, I'm Jamie. Welcome back. We are back with another video. I'm back with another vinyl update. Yes, too many records. Let's get right to it. I've been talking about this artist. This is Lee Michaels, and this is his first album, Carnival of Life, on A&M. And I was not familiar with his first album, but man, I'm so glad I picked this up. This is an absolute gem. It's very psychedelic, psych pop kind of an album, and it is absolutely terrific. It is well worth seeking out. Not exactly indicative of his sound, because his sound certainly had a lot of kind of soul funk thing going on. This is his self-titled album, Lee Michaels, and he does a version of Stormy Monday on this one, but he's a great artist, worth checking out. Each album just offers you so much, and again, this one has the original A&M inner sleeve, which is kind of nice, and again, the classic A&M label. This is the one that had the big hit. This is Lee Michaels and the album Fifth, and this had the big hit, Do You Know What I Mean, which really has that nice kind of soul funk thing going on. Always love that song, and this is a great album. Just really enjoy Lee Michaels, and I do love these original A&M sleeves. And again, Fifth. And this is a Lee Michaels album that's a little different. I mean, we talk about Lee Michaels with this kind of psych pop thing for the first album. This one, he's gone really kind of prog on this. So again, every Lee Michaels album offers you something interesting and something different. This is Lee Michaels' Space and First Takes. Again, also on the A&M label. And I do like that. This is kind of I've never seen quite a configuration for the jacket like this. So you see the jacket, and then it kind of opens up like this. And so this is sort of the wraparound, and then it's got that on the spine there, but it just kind of opens up like that, which is kind of fun. And then you access the album from the inside like that on A&M. And there's only 4 tracks on this album. So it really has kind of a not psych, but more of a prog kind of feel to it. And here's Lee Michaels. This is on the Columbia label. Lee Michaels, Nice Day for Something. And yeah, on the Columbia album, Columbia label, and this came out in 1973. So Lee Michaels, great artist, well worth checking out. And there you have that. Okay, this was a thrift store, a Value Village find just the other day, and I put it on the turntable right away, gave a listen to it. This is Tom Jones and country. Tom Jones doing country essentially with enough of that country style, but with the Tom Jones swagger. This came out on Mercury. At first glance, I wasn't sure if this was kind of like a Pickwick or a budget label, but this is on the Mercury label from 1982. Now, the cover, I don't know what went on here. If the jacket was dipped in acid or something like that, I don't know what's going on there. However, the album is in perfect condition. It's an absolute mint condition. Not a bad album, not terrific, but Tom Jones country. And parts recorded in Nashville, so yeah. Not too bad. Joan Baez album. This is Farewell Angelina. Joan Baez, and I think, gosh, by this time, this was already like her 4th or 5th album on Vanguard. A terrific Joan Baez album. If you want to get into some early Joan Baez, I would pick this one up. She does a number of Bob Dylan songs on here, including 2 that were not released at the time. They weren't Dylan songs that he had released at the time. Farewell Angelina, the title track, and Daddy, You've Been on My Mind. I don't think those would come out until the 90s on the sort of the bootleg series or the biography sort of series. So she also does It's All Over Now Baby Blue, a Bob Dylan song. She does Wild Mountain Time, which is just a wonderful traditional song. I think it's just a beautiful song that so many folk artists and artists have done, and I like every version that I hear. I don't know what it is about that song that just strikes a chord. And then she also does a 7-minute version of Hard Rain's Gonna Fall. A terrific album, and this one's got some strange peeling going on here. So it had like a kind of it's not the shrink on it, but it had kind of like just a sort of a gloss on top of, if you will, but that's starting to peel off. And again, on the Vanguard label, and this came with a rather unusual inner bag. It wouldn't have been the bag at the time, that's for sure. The inner sleeve at the time, with the great Vanguard label for sure. Okay, I was able to pick up some Niles Lofgren. This is the best of Niles Lofgren, and I think this is likely either a radio or a library copy with this. But Niles Lofgren, you know, his solo stuff is not too bad at all. If I can get this out of the wrap to show you. So this is the best of, and this features one of the tracks is called Keith Don't Go, which is dedicated to Keith Richards. But yeah, Niles Lofgren, solo stuff. Always enjoyable. This is Niles Lofgren and the album Flip, and I guess this is indicative of the way Niles could do the big flip while performing. Not a bad album overall. Again, this is likely another sort of radio or a library copy on this. And unfortunately, these copies, again, the albums are in fine shape because sometimes you never know with either library or radio copies, but they would often have a lot of tape around it. And so I managed to take some of the tape off, except, yeah, there's still a little bit on here. So at least I could still see the spine, but it's not too pretty in terms of the album. So these are, in terms of the covers, these would be definitely ones for upgrades. But this one came with the original inner sleeve, Niles Lofgren and Flip. Here we go. And I think in terms of the Niles Lofgren stuff, I really like his stuff with Grin. So Niles Lofgren Grin, this is 1+1, and so you have a rockin' side and a dreamy side on here. And this is a nice gatefold. And this on the Columbia, and this is the Columbia 2i label. Okay, moving right along. How about some Black Oak, Arkansas? So this is Jim Dandy, Black Oak, Arkansas, and it's amazing with this group how many different configurations they had for their name. Either Black Oak, Arkansas, Black Oak, Jim Dandy, Black Oak, Arkansas. I think there was a few more as well. This is a much later album. This is from 1984, and this is on a Heavy Metal Canada label. And it's interesting with this, it's Black Oak, Arkansas, but it's starting to almost kind of get into that sort of 80s metal kind of sound, like almost. It's not quite reminiscent of the vintage Black Oak, Arkansas, but this is on the Heavy Metal Records Canada label. Okay, so there you go. Al Kooper. I've been able to pick up some Al Kooper albums. Haven't listened to all of them yet, but was pretty happy to pick up Act Like Nothing's Wrong, Al Kooper. And of course, this absolutely amazing cover. And again, the sounds, every time I hear Al Kooper, I think of, again, Blood, Sweat and Tears. Of course, he was on the original Blood, Sweat and Tears album, and he still kind of maintains that sound in some of his solo work. And he does a cover of This Diamond Ring on this one. Now, this did not include the original inner sleeve, unfortunately, but this is on the United Artists label. And there you have that. Now I've got some compilation albums. There's Warner Brothers that had the Lost Leaders album. This is probably one of the later editions. This is an album called Pumping Vinyl. So this is a double compilation that features Warner Brothers. It's quite the cover. And this is a double album, and I'll show you the whole thing here. So yes, that is quite the cover. Pumping Vinyl. Sorry, Pumping Vinyl. And what's interesting with this is that on the cover, they don't show you any of the artists that are involved. So I don't know. This likely was on a mail order thing as well. I could be wrong on that. This one came out in 1979, and this is a terrific compilation. So we have, if I can show you here, all the artists featured on here is quite, again, with these Warner Brothers Lost Leader type albums. The compilations are absolutely terrific. And this also includes Bruce Cockburn, Canadian artist Bruce Cockburn on here. And they tell you how to pronounce Cockburn, not Cockburn, but pronounce Cockburn, which is correct. And so this just on the Warner Brothers label. Pumping Vinyl sampler. And another label sampler, this is the Best of Buddha Records. Buddha was also distributed through RCA later, but GRT at the time in Canada, so this is a GRT label, little piece missing on the end there. And so this features a few Canadian artists kind of sprinkled throughout. This is a double or 2-record set, and you've got the Isley Brothers, Gladys Knight and the Pips, but it also features the band Ocean, a Canadian band that had Put Your Hand in the Hand, and it also features the Canadian band Motherlode. So there's a nice sprinkling of Canadian artists. This is not gatefold, but it's 2 albums just in the inner sleeve. And I think it was Chris from Blues Guy Vinyl that doesn't like that, where there's the 2 albums, much preferring the gatefold, which I tend to agree with. But so I don't know if you can see that again on the GRT Canadian label or Canadian distribution on that. Okay, a little disco for you. How about James Wells and My Claim to Fame? This is kind of a cheap blind buy, and this is a full-on disco album, but it's not too bad actually. James Wells, don't know much about the artist, but he only really had like a few albums out, but this is full-on disco from 1978. But it's got enough kind of funk and soul going on to, you know, to make it at least tolerable, shall I say. And this was on, I'm not even sure the label on this, AVI label, something like that. But distributed through Quality Records in Canada, but enjoyable enough for sure. Was happy to pick this up. As I've mentioned, I do have the Uriah Heep, the big CD box set, but this is a Uriah Heep in Salisbury that has this this great cover, and this is great early Uriah Heep. In terms of some of the early stuff, this is one of the nice ones to own. Vintage Uriah Heep, and this on the Mercury label. Okay, Canadian artist that you really should be aware of, and I'm sure if you want details, I'm sure Daryl from Off the Beaten Track has lots of information on this artist, Ray Materick. Great artist. This is Fever in Rio. Ray Materick definitely had that sort of country rock sound going on. He had a Canadian hit called Linda Put the Coffee On, but if you see any Ray Materick albums, definitely grab them. Very much like Jesse Winchester, each album is really nice. Really enjoy this artist. And this one is interesting. I'm not sure when this one came out. This is on Casino Records label, 1978. And who is this young lad helping out? This is Dan Lenoir, or Daniel Lenoir, who of course was a great producer, certainly internationally. But yeah, in terms of working out of the Hamilton area in his early days, so he plays electric, lead and rhythm guitars, harmony vocal, and recording engineer, Dan Lanois. So there you have that. And this on, as I mentioned, the Casino Records label. Okay, Association. I really enjoy this band, and usually you can find Association albums pretty cheaply. People do forget the Association does have that wonderfully kind of psych pop thing going on, and this is their, I want to say their 3rd or 4th album entitled Birthday, which kind of follows suit in terms of the light kind of psych pop thing going on. This album in really nice shape, other than the little signature of the previous owner up there. Great cover, and not a lot of big hits off this one, but really nice, and I do like that Warner label. And I was able to pick up the Association Live. This is a double live album that features all the hits and then some, but nicely recorded. And nice gatefold there, and this, of course, also on the Warner Brothers label, on the classic Warner Brothers green label. Nick Lowe album I didn't have until now, and I don't know why. I mean, Nick Lowe, I've loved Nick Lowe, and I have a few of his albums, but for whatever reason, until now, finally had a chance to pick up Labor of Lust, and oh, what a terrific album. As soon as you put it on, Cruel to Be Kind, what a great song. Still a radio hit that you hear, Cruel to Be Kind, but man, this is just a great album. Absolutely. You know, what more can you say about this album? It's absolutely terrific. Nick Lowe. And then I was able to pick up another Nick Lowe album. This is Nick the Knife. And another great Nick Lowe album, and more great songs. Queen of Sheba on this one, and this on Columbia as well. And this from 1982. Okay, now for something different. This was a recent thrift store find in terms of concept album. the Osmonds and the Plan. And actually I paid a little bit more than 25 cents on this one, but I didn't pay too much more. This is a Osmonds concept album, the Plan being short for the Plan of Salvation. So this spotlights their Mormon faith, and this is a single album, but it is quite it's got all the lyrics there. No like big hits off this one, but you can see from the illustrations there that this spotlight's complete focus on the Mormon faith, and I think it's like the plan of salvation sort of thing with regards to their faith, to their religion, and yeah, concept album on MGM Records. And there you go. So the Osmonds. And again, this came out, they were still releasing lots of pop hits, lots of pop albums. This came out in 1973. Johnny Rivers. Always got a soft spot for Johnny Rivers, and this is basically a compilation. This was initially kind of a blind buy, but I wasn't quite sure. This is a double album, but it is a compilation of his hits on United Artists. So this has, even though he's got kind of the, you know, the 70s look going on here, this features a lot of his great, like Memphis, Brown-Eyed Handsome Man, Silver Threads and Golden Needles, whole lot of shaking going on in the midnight hour. So it does feature a lot of his rock and roll covers, but then it kind of gets into stuff like Hey Joe. You've also got If I Were a Carpenter. He does a cover of Whiter Shade of Pale, Summer Rain, California Dream, and overall it's a compilation. And Johnny Rivers, you know, is an artist who pretty much does a lot of covers, and that is for an LP. That is some of the tiniest writing I have ever seen. But in terms of the listen from start to finish, really enjoyable. I do like Johnny Rivers, like his kind of live at the Whiskey Go-Go stuff. But yeah, Johnny Rivers. And a band I'm so enjoying, Manfred Mann's Earth Band. This is the album Chance, and this is actually a promo copy. Big hits off this one. Again, lead vocalist Chris Thompson. I just think he has a great voice. And Lies Through the 80s is on this one. Also On the Run and For You. Great sound on this one. Really enjoyable. And this, yeah, promo stamp on that one. And this was from I want to say 19, is it 80? Yeah, 1980 on this one. And with the original inner sleeve on Warner. And this one came out, and the previous record to this was the album Angel Station, Manfred Mann's Earth Band, where the idea that Chris Thompson was going to leave after this album, and he did form a solo group or solo outfit. I think they put out one album, and then he quickly came back to the band. After this one, almost like not missing a step, but they do this big long thing of so great working. You know, this is Chris Thompson's last album with the Earth Band, as he is forming his own band in the near future. Manfred Mann writing that. That's always awkward to include that on the album, and then he returns. Chris Thompson returns for the very next album, which is a little odd. And again, this on the Warner label. Okay, Ziggy Marley. How about this one? Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers. And man, I remember when this came out. Wasn't even sure that this was still available on vinyl, or that it came out on vinyl, because we're talking now 1988 on Virgin Records, when, well, I guess there was still enough vinyl available, but it was getting few and far between. So Ziggy Marley. And man, this was a big hit when this first came out, and really enjoyed listening to that. It's been a long time since I listened to Ziggy Marley. Okay, this was a thrift store find. This is the Mills Brothers and Yellow Bird, and still in the shrink, and still with the not the hype sticker, but the stereophonic sticker on it. The album is in great shape, and yeah, Yellow Bird is such a lovely song. I've got a soft spot for the Mills Brothers. It was one of my dad's favorite groups, and they got a great sound, but I didn't know they did a cover of the song Get a Job, which for the Mills Brothers had a kind of a nice rock and roll sound to it for the Mills Brothers, but they were so terrific, and on the great Dot label, the Mills Brothers. If you want to get the great harmonies, if you're not familiar with the Mills Brothers, it's just that great harmonies going on, just smooth as silk vocals, and Dean Martin was a huge fan of the Mills Brothers. Okay, Robert Plant. For whatever reason, I don't have much Robert Plant solo stuff. The Principle of Moments. I was surprised how much I enjoyed this album. Phil Collins Collins plays drums on this one. This had In the Mood and Big Log, which I was familiar with, but I was surprised how much I enjoyed listening to the album. Again, with some of the Robert Plant stuff, at least the early stuff has been kind of hit or miss for me, but for whatever reason, really enjoyed listening to this. But he's got a really great solo career, and I think I tend to prefer the later stuff from Robert Plant, or his more recent stuff, than the early 80s kind of stuff, but I was surprised how much I enjoyed listening to that. This is a great album. This is Miss Peggy Lee. Basin Street East proudly presents Miss Peggy Lee, recorded at the fabulous New York Club. This is just dynamite, and the album is in great shape. I believe this is this is a mono copy on Capitol, and the cover's in great shape. The album's in great shape. Oh my gosh, this is so enjoyable. And on the wonderful Capitol Rainbow label. Okay, here's a band I'm not familiar with. This was kind of a blind buy. Snafu and Situation Normal. I do love the cover. And yeah, this is quite an interesting variety of music on here. It's not prog, but it's almost got some kind of country influences going on, particularly with the fiddle player here. So again, for maybe for those in the UK that know more about this band, that can kind of fill me in a little bit more details. But an interesting variety of music. I really enjoyed the album. Gosh, when did this come out? I want to say late 70s, but I could be wrong on that. And this also on the Capitol label. From 1975. Situation Normal, Snafu from 1975. And for me, this was kind of nice. I don't know if it had an original inner sleeve, but the inner sleeve for this one, which was a nice lined one, featured an old record store from my past, the record store Trax, in Stratford on Wellington Street. And this is going back a number of years because Trax no longer exists. However, there's been a bit of a shakeup for the local record stores in Stratford. Diamond Dogs and Sound Fixation, both still going, but both relocating. So Diamond Dogs has left Wellington Street in Stratford and it's moved to Ontario Street. And then Sound Fixation now is in the process of leaving Erie Street and moving to Wellington Street. Actually, a different spot on Wellington Street, not the vacated Diamond Dogs store. But there you go. So some moving around, moving the chess pieces around locally for the record stores. Focus, live at the Rainbow. What a dynamite album. This is the band Focus. Dutch band. I just love they are just full out, you know, like there's no holding back with this band, completely full out. And this is one of those cases that I actually like the North American cover better. The original European or Dutch cover is kind of plain, Focus Live at the Rainbow, but I kind of like this one. It's got kind of a nice 70s look on it, but of course they do the hit Hocus Pocus on here, and I just always enjoy saying Hocus Pocus by Focus. But this band is just full on. I just think they're just terrific. So there you go. Here's a band that I was not familiar with. This was a blind buy, Toby Bowe, and kind of a country rock influence on Rocksteady. So that is Bill Aucoin, who also managed to Kiss. So, but the band has nothing like Kiss. It's got that kind of country rock thing. And when you look at this, you think you might be opening it up from here, and it's all, you know, like it's got the nice look to it and everything. But you think you'd open it up from here just for the effect. But no, it's a traditional that way. But yeah, with Rocksteady management. But what's the label that this is on again? So this is on RCA, but on the Rocksteady management with Bill Aucoin, who was the manager of Kiss at the time. And on RCA, and what year did this came out? 1978. Okay, here's an outfit don't know too much about, but this is Sky. This is actually their second album. This is a double album that features Herbie Flowers, Kevin Peake, John Williams, Tristan Fry, and Francis Monkman. Man, this is it's jazzy, it's proggy. It looks like this was some sort of a promo copy potentially, but that's actually hard to make out. It looks like something world play copy, but it's hard to make that out. But this is actually Sky's second album. But man, this is a double album. What an amazing excursion. This is just well worth checking out. Really enjoyed this. and this on the Arista label. And this one's just called Sky Sky, but this is actually their second album. And if you pick up this album internationally, the cover is slightly reconfigured to show Sky 2, but on the Arista label. Here's a band again. When I see Hoodoo Gurus, this is Mars Needs Guitars. Not a bad album from 1985, but I don't know what it is about this band that I'm expecting more or expecting something else from this band. It's a band I have to explore a little bit more. If you're a fan of Hoodoo Gurus, I love suggestions on what album to pick up next or what album next to explore. Not a bad band. And this on the Mercury label. Okay, switching gears, how about some Gordon Lightfoot? This is such a terrific album, Gordon Lightfoot and Shadows. This has, of course, the title track, Blueberry Wine, always like that one, a surprisingly kind of rockin' number from Gordon Lightfoot. Baby Step Back, it's got that really nice kind of almost nice country groove thing going on. Just a delightful album from Gordon Lightfoot. If you're a fan of Gordon Lightfoot, this is definitely an album to pick up. So many wonderful Gordon Lightfoot albums for sure, but this is definitely a great one to pick up. Gordon Lightfoot. Okay, here's another band, Angel, band that's okay. This is Angel and White Hot. They were on the Casablanca label, which of course was Kiss's label as well. So they, I don't know if they ever performed together. I don't know if Angel ever opened up for Kiss or not. But they were kind of, I remember certainly reading about this band more initially more than hearing them, reading about them in sort of the music trade papers at the time, and of course all the visuals with this band, but not a bad band at all. Angel and the great Casablanca label there, White Hot. All right, I don't have too much Spyro Gyro, but I really enjoy this band a ton. And I was able to pick this one up just for a couple of bucks, and absolutely, wonderfully jazzy kind of thing going on. Great artwork, and always enjoy Spyro Gyro whenever I come across them. And this on MCA, and this one came out in 1980. MCA. Lovin' Spoonful, the very best of the Lovin' Spoonful. Can't go wrong with some John Sebastian. It seems for me, I have a couple of different configurations of either Lovin' Spoonful greatest hits or best ofs, and so this is the very best of the band. Great 60s sounds, and this on the Karma Sutra label, Summer in the City, Hot Child, Summer in the City. Also, Did You Ever Have to Make Up Your Mind? Do You Believe in Magic? Daydream. They just had a great pop sound. Just a great pop sound. Okay, now for something completely different. This is on the Polydor label. This was another blind buy. This just looked intriguing. This is Alan, I want to say Stivell, and a harp player, and I believe either French or a Belgian performer, and this is on the Polydor label. Beautiful background music, really enjoyable to listen to. Maybe not everybody's cup of tea. This came out in 1975. But I found this quite enjoyable, and on Polydor. Okay, how about a soundtrack, an original Broadway cast recording? This has a special meaning for me. I was in a community theater production of this show, and so this is the Broadway cast recording of How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, which is it's a lot of fun. You may not be familiar with the show, and I was able to pick this up at a thrift store, still with the original Eaton's price sticker on the corner, from Eaton's Canada on the RCA Victor label, and still in the shrink as well, with the original inner sleeve. This play, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, really pokes fun and really examines the crazy world of business. I mean, it's technically dated now, but there's a lot of stuff that still rings true, if you know what I mean. And this on the red RCA Victor label, which I don't have too many versions of this label, so that was kind of cool to see. Okay, whenever I see some Little Feat, I tend to grab it, at least if it's reasonably priced and in decent shape. This is Little Feat and Down on the Farm. Terrific album. Love Little Feat. And this is a great one to have for sure. And Inner sleeve there, and this one came out, I'm going to say the year, 1979 for this one. Inner sleeve, nice that it's included. It's not in the best of shape, but the album is all right, and on the Warner Brothers label. And last but not least, how about a little bit of Cat Stevens and Catch Bull at 4, Cat Stevens. And one thing about Cat Stevens I hadn't realized, I don't know why, but how the titles of his albums don't really make a lot of sense, or there's kind of moving words kind of back and forth, like T for the Tillerman, Catch Bull at 4, which is something I just never kind of caught on to. But again, Cat Stevens, this has a sitting on this album. Absolutely lovely album. Great Cat Stevens. And this on, I do like the labels on here too, so you got that. Oops, a little bit of dust there. And on A&M. All right, so that is going to do it for this one. My goodness, thank you so much for dropping by, if you're still with us. And yeah, we will chat again really soon. Do take care. Bye-bye.